All right, so we're taking a look here at number 6 from our week 8 homework. And this says that there is a laser used in laser vision correction that is so precise that each pulse can remove 35 millionths of an inch of tissue in 12 billionths of a second. So write each of these numbers as a decimal. All right, so we have a couple of values here. It tells us the depth at which the laser removes, and that removes as much as 35 millionths of an inch, and then also gives us a time length, how quickly it can do this, and it does this in 12 billionths of a second. All right, so both of these numbers are extremely small, so it makes a lot more sense to write them as they are written here. However, it is important to know where all of these values lie if you're looking at a decimal. So let's take a look here and start at our length first, which is in inches. And it says that that can remove 35 millionths of an inch. So let's write out 35 millionths of an inch as a decimal. All right, so here I just have kind of a generic long decimal. Remember that these keep going and going and going, but I just only had room to write so many. So you have your leading zero here to the left of your decimal point, and then once we get here to the right of our decimal points, this is where we know we have numbers that are smaller than 1. All right, so all these numbers would be between 0 and 1. All right, so remember that your first spot here is your tenths spot, then you have your hundredths and your thousandths. You have your 10,000ths, 100,000ths, and millionths, your 10 millionths, 100 millionths, and then billions, and then so on and so forth. All right, so for our first one here, I think it was 35 millionths. Yes, so 35 millionths of an inch. So basically, remember you have tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s. Here is where your millionths start. And how many millionths did we want? Remember, you want 35 of those. So we'd have the 3 start there, and then your 5 would come here. So when we actually wrote this whole thing out, you would end up with 0 point. So we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros, and that followed by 35. And this was our depth, how far into the eye we would be cutting. So 35 millionths of an inch. Now let me just erase the 3 and the 5 down here so we don't get confused about those on the next part. And so our next part had to do with our time. So it said that this would happen in 12 billionths of a second. So we need to find our billions value. So remember, we have our tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, 100,000s, millionths, 10 millionths, 100 millionths, and this is our billions right here. And it said that it occurred in 12 billionths. All right, so you always start your number at the same value here. So this would be 12 billionths. So in this case, we'll have 0 point, and we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 zeros, and then we'll write our 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So then comes our 12 and of course our units. All right, so this would be 12 billionths of a second written out as a decimal. So we can see here just by looking at these written out, it makes a lot more sense if you were to be typing something or writing about this for some reason. You would want to use what they have written here, but it's good to also be able to write those as decimals as well.